Welcome to Cultural Breakdown from Focus Press. I'm Jack Wilkie, and this is my new show. This is going to be a weekly show we're going to put on here on the Focus Press YouTube channel. Eventually, we're going to take it to a live show, but got to figure out what I'm doing with video. In fact, this is the second recording of the first episode because I'm not quite familiar with this territory, but we're going to learn it along the way and get into breaking down a culture that is on the verge of breaking down, and so thus the name Cultural Breakdown. To get these episodes, I want to encourage you to follow or subscribe to the Focus Press YouTube channel. Like this video, share it with your friend if you find it interesting, or post it to social media. I'm going to be trying to take on some of the biggest topics of each week, and so things like today's topic I think are very relevant, very interesting to a lot of Christians, and so if you enjoyed it, I think somebody else will as well, and so help us out by sharing these once you get to see them. And let's get into what we're going to talk about this week, which is the speech that broke the internet. Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, gave a commencement speech at a Kansas college, a Kansas Catholic college that is. I'm going to pull it up here. Benedictine College. You notice there, as 5 days ago, already has 1 million views. Most commencement speeches do not get 1 million views worth of attention, but Mr. Butker had some controversial things to say. He spoke about women and the role of working women and wives and mothers, and it did not go over well as he touched on one of our society's sacred cows, one of the gods of our day, and got a fairly predictable response. Vox, of course, always reliable, called it a misogynistic commencement speech. They said that it was a textbook case of conservative sexism and homophobia. People.com, People Magazine, spoke to one of the graduating students there, who her classmates enjoyed it. She said he got a standing ovation, but she booed and said that it was horrible. Associated Press got a release from the NFL. Jonathan Bean, the senior vice president and chief diversity and inclusion officer, said his views are not those of the NFL as an organization. It is really crazy that this rose to the level that the NFL felt they needed to make a statement, put out a response about what Mr. Butker said in this graduation speech. I mean, I guess I'm just establishing how big of a deal this is. You've probably seen it going around social media, responses, takes going from either direction. And then, of course, change.org, which never changes anything. People just like to put their name to something when they're mad about it, has 180,000 signatures demanding that he be dismissed. Now, I'm sorry, a bunch of people yelling about it on change.org, I don't think can legally get the Kansas City Chiefs to get rid of his contract. I don't think they have that out. I don't know that they would want to if they did, because unfortunately he's pretty good at his job. But this shows the level of ire that this has stirred up. In fact, the City of Kansas City's Twitter account partially doxed the man by giving away the name of the town where he lives. The mayor of Kansas City apologized for it. The Attorney General of Missouri is looking at prosecuting for the matter, and so this has had a ripple effect of news upon news upon news. Now you have other NFL players responding, players' wives responding, everyone weighing in to say if they agree or they think it's okay for him to say it, or if they think it was horrible, and all of the things that are coming out from this. And so it has been quite the moment. There's been quite the backlash. And so let's look at where that backlash came from, what he said. And it's interesting that speaking to the women, he said, I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you're going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. And then, of course, he went on to extol his wife for, rather than pursuing a career, becoming a homemaker and a wife to him and mother to the children that they've had together, and talking about how that was such a great choice for her. And boy, again, he slew the sacred cow. He stepped on ground he's not allowed to cross. He violated the blasphemy laws, whatever you want to say. That, just as simple as that, is saying, better than a career even is a family that God has in mind for you. I'll say it right up front, he's a Catholic. He comes from a Catholic perspective, and so there's things I'm going to disagree with, but generally speaking, his cultural assessment that he gave in this speech I'm a huge fan of. I think what he said here is great. I'm kind of shocked that it was so controversial, especially with the NFL making an issue of it. This was a 538 statistic came out a few years ago about domestic violence rates. 48%. It's double in NFL players as what it is in average men. I mean, it is off the charts. They have men beating their wives and girlfriends, men impregnating, men that have a dozen children by 6 different women. You've got DUIs, you've got aggravated assaults, you've got thefts, you've got, you name it, all of these kinds of things. But the thing that really sets the NFL off, if someone says it's good to be a wife and it's good to be a mother, that's where the line has been crossed. And so we just live in this ridiculous world. But I really want to get to what Butker had to say in the rest of the speech. It's a fantastic speech, start to finish, but I want to look at, first of all, the gender part, and then we'll get to the rest of it because of so many great things he said that they're all really tied together very well and speak about so many things that need to be said. And so again, as we've looked at, that better than the successful career, the thing that maybe you're most excited about is the marriage and the children you will bring into this world. It's a great point. It's a true point. But then, of course, people did the gotcha thing. Well, your mom was a renowned physicist. His mom didn't do that, and so there's a hypocrisy there, and whatever they're trying to do with this gotcha thing. I think what he's doing here is very important. That he didn't get up and say, yeah, my mom was an idiot, my mom was in sin or anything like that. He just said, it's good to be a wife and a homemaker, as my wife is doing, as she's blessed our family in that way. He's not condemning his mom or any of that stuff. But I also think generationally, he gets to this next point, which is so important. I say all of this to you because I've seen it firsthand how much happier someone can be when they disregard the outside noise and move closer and closer to God's will in their life. What he's saying is you're going to be happier this way. People can look and point at his mom all day long, but he can very clearly say from experience, and we as Christians can say, because we believe in God, and we believe that if you taste and see the Lord is good, and that God rewards those who diligently seek Him, that if you do things the biblical way, if you look at Scripture and it says, you know what, women are to be keepers at home, let's give that a try, you end up happier. You end up, it is better for society, it is better for the home, when we take on the roles that God set aside for us. And so that's what he's speaking to. And I think it's really important that we throw off the shackles of previous generations that have led to so much misery, that chose to leave the home for the workplace, that have chose that children aren't important, that have chosen all kinds of things that we look at in the last 60 to 70 to 80 years where traditionally things were done a certain way and we decided we outsmarted all of that. And now we've got depressed people, we've got lonely people, we've got lifelong involuntarily single people. We've got, just all of the issues that have sprung up from us thinking we know better. And here's Butker saying, look, doing it God's way makes you happier. It's true. It's absolutely true. He says later there in the second paragraph, I'm not saying this from a place of wisdom, or rather a place of experience. But there is wisdom in that experience of God says it is this way. I believe in God, and I believe if I do it God's way, I'll be happier and my life will be more joyful. And then I do, and I experience it. Wow, that works, and that builds your faith. That gets you to go further. And so again, it doesn't have to be a condemnation. We don't have to get into the, is it a sin conversation? Can you bind that conversation? I want to recommend the recent Think Deeper episode we did on that of rejecting brain-free Christianity, because immediately everyone starts asking that question. Do I have to? Is it a sin if I don't? No, just ask, what is God's way? What does God recommend in His Word? And realize you're going to be happier for that. On top of that, he gets into masculinity and talks about men as being tone setters. He says, we set the tone of the culture. When that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. If you look at that second paragraph, be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. These are important things that need to be said to women, that you're going to be happier if you do it God's way, that men, you're going to be happier if you do it God's way. And if we have manly men and feminine women, things work better. And that's, again, men are the tone setter. And if you're a lazy man without self-control, a man who's not bringing joy into your house, a man who's angry, a man who's not self-disciplined, or whatever it may be, your house takes on that tone. But if you are the best man that you can be, and you do hard things, and you step up and just be the man that God created you to be, everything around you gets better. Your family gets better. Your wife enjoys the benefits of that. And so they cast it at this as this handmaid's tale and oppressing women and keeping them down and all that. There's a high call to men here as well of get your act together, do hard things, take up the call of masculinity because it's so important that you do. We're going to get to later in the speech where he kind of chides church leaders for not talking about these things, and he's exactly right. We don't say that feminism just damages women. We don't say that lacking masculinity is bad for men. In fact, when you see what passes for masculinity teaching in the church so many times, it's, well, just be a good servant of God. You should be a good servant of God, but that's not uniquely masculine. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be built in this way and created physically different than women? And what does it mean to be a woman? And what roles were we designed to do? This is that idea of telos, what you are designed to do. And if you're not doing what you're designed to do, you're not going to be happy. And that he goes into that with the idea of vocation. We must be intentional with our focus on our state in life and our own vocation. And for most of us, that's as married men and women. So many times the church just doesn't know what to do with people. We all need to be missionaries. We all need to be evangelists. We all need to be disciple makers. You can do those things as opportunity arises, but more than anything, the average Christian's lot in life is to be a good husband, be a good father, be a good wife, be a good mother, to be good in whatever workplace they have or whatever work God has set before them. And his point is, for women, your best vocation is as a wife and a mother, and as a man, you're going to lead and provide for your family and all of these things. And this is our way of being Christians. This is our way of changing the world. This is our way of shining the light, is in vocation, is in what you do day after day after day. We really have to recover the doctrine of vocation. We really have to tell the average Christian, you know what, we don't need you to be a preacher. We don't need you to be a missionary. We don't need you to do any of those things. We need you to be the best Christian electrician this town's ever seen, the best Christian carpenter this town's ever seen, the best Christian doctor this town's ever seen, whatever it may be. Because this is how you glorify God. This is how you shine your light. This is where opportunities arise. This is how you bless the people around you. And so that starts in the home. That starts with masculinity and femininity and parents and everything that he's talking about. It's so important. But where he gets at, and this is maybe my favorite talking point in this whole thing, is calling out the leadership. He's speaking specifically to the Catholics and the priests and all that that they have to deal with. But the application is not much different for us. If you've read the articles on my site, jackwilkie.co, for a while now, some of this is going to sound familiar because I've been saying the same thing of we won't touch the hard things. We won't get into the difficult. We won't tell women to stop being feminists and men that masculinity is good and that we need those things because it steps on toes. It hurts feelings. It gets the response that Butker got for this speech. Notice what he said. Make no mistake, before we even attempt to fix any of the issues plaguing society, we must first get our own house in order, and it starts with our leaders. He goes on to say, and this is so important, if we are going to be men and women for this time in history, we need to stop pretending that the church of nice is a winning proposition. We must always speak and act in charity, but never mistake charity for cowardice. That's at the heart of everything going on today, is keeping the peace, keeping as many people as happy as possible, never stepping on toes, never making anybody uncomfortable, that the outsider just feels perfectly uncomfortable and we don't want to drive them away. And the church of nice doesn't work. The church of nice is not what God called us to be. He's called us to be truthful and loving, and we think we're being loving by being really nice. No, loving goes with the truth. If you won't tell people the truth, you don't love them. And that's one of the things I thought was so great about this speech. He got into things that you just don't hear from most pulpits. He spoke about in vitro fertilization. He spoke about abortion. He spoke about birth control. He spoke about fornication. He spoke about marrying non-Christians. He spoke about choosing your career based on your church life and your ability to be a part of the church. He spoke about COVID and the way the churches let their people down. He spoke about President Biden and being a false Catholic, which even the Catholic Church won't handle. Their own claimed guy as the president being pro-abortion, pro-LGBT. And here's a football kicker saying this is unacceptable. He stepped on a lot of toes. He got into the political. He got into the controversial. He got into people's business of in vitro fertilization and birth control. Things that should be said. Things that pulpits should be handling, but generally they won't. Because of the church is nice. Because we got to keep that very shallow unity that keeps everybody happy and coming back. The things that he got into talking about the Latin Mass and that they've given that up to get more people in the door for community. That hey man, we can get more people if we don't do this. And it's his conviction. Latin Mass means nothing to me. I'm not Catholic, but it's his conviction that sets them apart. It's a church tradition. It's something that matters to God and that they should treat him as holy. While I, again, don't care about the Latin Mass part, I too think the church should be treating God as holier than we are. I too think we got to stop worrying so much about the visitor and worrying about God and pleasing him in worship. And honestly, as I've said before, church should be weird. It should feel different to the outsider to come in and say, you know what, I'm not perfectly comfortable here in a good way. I'm uncomfortable in a way that makes me want to change to be part of it. And so even not agreeing with the Latin Mass point, he's spot on to say we've got to stop watering everything down for everybody. But he said, no, today our shepherds are far more concerned with keeping the doors open to the chancery than they are with saying the difficult stuff out loud. We got to keep our job. We got to keep the money, the contributions coming in. We got to keep, this structure that we have. And if we say women shouldn't be feminists, if we speak on masculinity, if we get into things like birth control, well, people might not like that. People, you can't bind that, or live and let live. We just all need to get along. No, truth needs to be spoken. Truth needs to be at the heart of what we have to say. And it's interesting that the world looks at this speech, and there are a few that are saying, you know what, I don't agree with it, but you even have Whoopi Goldberg saying they're his beliefs. He should be able to say what he wants to say. Washington Post ran an opinion of he does have the right to speak his mind. The NFL shouldn't have condemned him, but should have said, well, he's allowed to say what he wants to say. A lot of Christians fall in that camp. Well, if you want to believe that, if you want to be anti-feminist, if you want to be, to speak on birth control and that it's possibly abortifacient and the importance of kids, the importance of getting married, and all of these things, if you want to do that, great. If that works for you, great. You can't do that. It does not work that way. It's not choose. It's not live and let live. It's if God has spoken on it, if there's principles we can learn from God's word, we should apply them. If in this dark culture that is drifting so far away from God, there are things that need to be said, things that we can draw from the Bible to say, the culture is wrong, and the culture is terrible. I mean, and you look at, as I brought up, the NFL's hypocrisy, the domestic violence, the children out of wedlock, all those things. You say, well, I don't like that, but I don't like this Butker thing. You got to pick one. It always degenerates into that. You have God at the center, God at the heart of everything we do, God setting the rules, or we get to do what makes us feel good. And so you end up with all of that degeneracy that has been brought in that he had the guts to speak about in his commencement speech that, again, so many times churches won't touch just for the sake of keeping the peace, just for the sake of who might leave if we say harsh truths. This Butker speech was a masterclass because he understands one particular thing, and it's exactly what Jesus said in John 15. We've got a lot of Christians that think, man, if the world hates us, we're doing something wrong. That they should come to us just loving and adoring us and think, man, Christianity is so great. I agree with everything they're saying and doing because these are the nicest, kindest people in the world. We should be the nicest, kindest people in the world. We also should be the people who love them enough to tell them the truth. Love them enough to step on their toes in a way that's going to hurt them because the truth does hurt. The truth of the gospel is we're all sinners in need of repentance. The truth of the gospel is we're wrong and God's right. Nobody likes hearing that, but they have to hear it if it's going to save their lives. Butker might be the only person, some of those students at that commencement speech, and a lot of the people who have watched that video online, he might be the only person they ever come across who loved them enough to tell them things they needed to hear. Things that will make them happier, that will make their lives better. That doesn't mean they're going to accept it, but at least he cared enough about them to say it. Again, we're not going to just love the world and kindness the world all the way into the gospel, into coming to Christ. You've got to bring the truth to them. Jesus said in John 15, 18 and 19, if the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. When you see something like Butker's speech, when you see something that gets this much outrage, man, so many people look at that and say, I wish he wouldn't have said that. Look at what that's doing to the church. Look at the way people are going to view Christians now. Look at the backlash. Look how much backlash Jesus got. Look how much backlash the apostles got. That's part of it, especially in the world that we live in today that hates God so much. If you're not offending them with the truth, and you don't need to be offensive, you need to speak the truth because the truth is offensive in itself. And if we do that, you're going to get the kind of response that Butker's getting today. That people trying to get him to lose his job, people trying to undermine him, people trying to tear him apart. That's part of the territory. That's what Jesus said we should expect. That doesn't mean we shouldn't say it. That doesn't mean it's unloving to say it. We need from every pulpit, as he said, that our leaders have to step up and do this. And we, who aren't preachers and elders and leading in that way, our job is to take up that goal of vocation. Be the best Christian wife and mom you can be. Be the best Christian husband and father you can be. Be the best single Christian you can be. The best elderly Christian you can be. Whatever it is, wherever you are in life, look to God's word and say, how would he have me do this? What would be pleasing to him? That's what's going to make me happiest. That's what's going to bless the people around me most. Let me do that, and things are going to go a lot better. And so, again, I broke down most of it here, hit the high points. If I comment, what was your favorite point that he made? Because, man, we touched on a lot of it. He said so many great things. What was your favorite point that Butker made? Drop that in the comments. I highly recommend watching the whole speech, but I know not everyone has time, especially after you've watched this. There's more content out there. It's always more to see, but go check it out if you do have the time. Again, leave that comment. As always, I got to do the YouTube thing. Like the video, subscribe to the Focus Press channel, hit the notification bell so you know when these videos are going up, but also when I'm going live once that project starts here in, Lord willing, a week or two, as I kind of understand a little better what I'm doing with the video. And I'll leave some resources on the screen here, other places you can follow, and I will talk to you guys next week on Cultural Breakdown.